Please like the video and share it so that it reaches many more people and you get sawaba, or rewards from Allah. This could be a sawabe jariyah or continuous reward for you long after you are gone.
Witnesses, Volume 3, Book 48, number 805 to 854. Volume 3, Book 48, number 805. Narrated by Urwa bin al-Musayyab, Alqama bin Waqas and Ubaydullah bin Abdullah. About the story of Aisha, and their narrations were similar, attesting each other. When the liars said what they invented about Aisha, and the divine inspiration was delayed, Allah's apostle sent for Ali and Usama to consult them in divorcing his wife, i.e., Aisha. Usama said, "Keep your wife, as we know nothing about her except good." Hurairah said, "I cannot accuse her of any defect except that she is still a young girl who sleeps, neglecting her family's dough which the domestic goats come to eat, i.e. she was too simple-minded to deceive her husband." Allah's apostle said, "Who can help me to take revenge over the man who has harmed me? By defaming the reputation of my family. By Allah, I have not known about my family anything except good." And they mentioned, i.e. accused, a man about whom I did not know anything except good. Volume 3, Book 48, number 806. Narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Allah's apostle and Ubay bin Ka'b al-Ansari went to the garden where Ibn Sayyad used to live. When Allah's apostle entered the garden, he, i.e. Allah's apostle, started hiding himself behind the date palms as he wanted to hear secretly the talk of Ibn Sayyad before the latter saw him. Ibn Sayyad, wrapped with a soft decorated sheet, was lying on his bed murmuring. Ibn Sayyad's mother saw the Prophet hiding behind the stems of the date palms. She addressed Ibn Sayyad saying, "O Saf, this is Muhammad." Hearing that Ibn Sayyad stopped murmuring, or got cautious, the Prophet said, if she had left him undisturbed, he would have revealed his reality. See Hadith number 290, Volume 4 for details. Volume 3, Book 48, number 807. Narrated by Aisha. The wife of Rifa al-Qarazi came to the Prophet and said, "I was Rifa's wife, but he divorced me and it was a final irrevocable divorce. Then I married Abdurrahman bin Az Zubair, but he is impotent." The Prophet asked her, "Do you want to remarry Rifa? You cannot unless you had a complete sexual relation with your present husband." Abu Bakr was sitting with Allah's apostle and Khalid bin Said bin al-As was at the door waiting to be admitted. He said, "O Abu Bakr, do you hear what this woman is revealing frankly before the Prophet?" Volume 3, Book 48, number 808. Narrated by Abdullah bin Abu Mulaika from Uqba bin al-Harith. Uqba married the daughter of Abu Ihab bin Aziz. And then a woman came and said, "I suckled Uqba and his wife." Uqba said to her, "I do not know that you have suckled me, and you did not inform me." He then sent someone to the house of Abu Ihab to inquire about that, but they did not know that she had suckled their daughter. Then, Uqba went to the Prophet in Medina and asked him about it. The Prophet said to him, "How can you keep your wife, after it has been said that both of you were suckled by the same woman?" So, he divorced her and she was married to another husband. Volume 3, Book 48, number 809. Narrated by Umar bin al-Khattab. People were sometimes judged by the revealing of a divine inspiration during the lifetime of Allah's apostle, but now there is no longer any more new revelation. Now we judge you by the deeds you practice publicly, so we will trust and favor the one who does good deeds in front of us. And we will not call him to account about what he is really doing in secret, for Allah will judge him for that. But we will not trust or believe the one who presents to us with an evil deed, even if he claims that his intentions were good. Volume 3, Book 48, number 810. Narrated by Anas. A funeral procession passed in front of the Prophet and the people praised the deceased. The Prophet said, "It has been affirmed, paradise." Then another funeral procession passed by and the people talked badly of the deceased. The Prophet said, "It has been affirmed, hell." Allah's apostle was asked, "O Allah's apostle, you said it has been affirmed for both." The Prophet said, "The testimony of the people is accepted, for the believer are Allah's witnesses on the earth." Volume 3, Book 48, number 811. Narrated by Abu al-Aswad. Once I went to Medina where there was an outbreak of disease and the people were dying rapidly. I was sitting with Umar and a funeral procession passed by. The people praised the deceased. Umar said, "It has been affirmed, paradise." Then another funeral procession passed by. The people praised the deceased. Umar said, "It has been affirmed, paradise." Then another funeral procession passed by. The people praised the deceased. Umar said, "It has been affirmed, paradise." Then a third funeral procession passed by and the people talked badly of the deceased. Umar said, "It has been affirmed, hell." I asked Umar, "O chief of the believers, what has been affirmed?" He said, "I have said what the Prophet said." He said, "Allah will admit into paradise any Muslim whose good character is attested by 4 persons." We asked the Prophet, if there were 3 witnesses only. He said, "Even 3." We asked, if there were 2 only. He said, "Even 2." But we did not ask him about 1 witness. Volume 3, Book 48, number 812. Narrated by Aisha. Afla asked the permission to visit me, but I did not allow him. He said, "Do you veil yourself before me although I am your uncle?" Aisha said, "How is that?" Afla replied, "You were suckled by my brother's wife with my brother's milk." I asked Allah's apostle about it, and he said, "Allah is right, so permit him to visit you." Volume 3, Book 48, number 813. Narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said about Hamza's daughter, "I am not legally permitted to marry her, as foster relations are treated like blood relations in marital affairs. She is the daughter of my foster brother." Volume 3, Book 48, number 814. Narrated by Amra bint Abdur Rahman. That Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, told her uncle that once, while the Prophet was in her house, she heard a man asking Hafs's permission to enter her house. Aisha said, "I said, O Allah's apostle, I think the man is Hafs's foster uncle." Aisha added, "O Allah's apostle, there is a man asking the permission to enter your house." Allah's apostle replied, "I think the man is Hafs's foster uncle." Aisha said, "If so and so were living, i.e. her foster uncle, would he be allowed to visit me?" Allah's apostle said, "Yes, he would, as the foster relations are treated like blood relations in marital affairs." Volume 3, Book 48, number 815. Narrated by Aisha. Once the Prophet came to me while a man was in my house. He said, "O Aisha, who is this man?" I replied, "My foster brothers." He said, "O Aisha, be sure about your foster brothers, as fostership is only valid if it takes place in the suckling period, before 2 years of age." Volume 3, Book 48, number 816. Narrated by Urwa bin Azed Zubair. A woman committed theft in the Ghazwa of the conquest of Mecca, and she was taken to the Prophet, who ordered her hand to be cut off. Aisha said, "Her repentance was perfect and she was married, later, and used to come to me, after that, and I would present her needs to Allah's apostle."